The little girl sitting inside Judge Judy's courtroom looked like she had rehearsed not crying before she walked in. Her tiny fingers were locked together so tightly. They kept turning pale white every few seconds, and every time the adults around her raised their voices, she blinked faster, like she was trying to force the tears back where nobody could see them. Most people in the courtroom thought the case was about property damage. Judge Judy knew almost immediately it was about something much darker. Because children don't look terrified for no reason, and less than 20 minutes later, after one shocking piece of evidence played through the courtroom speakers, Judge Judy would stop the entire hearing and say 7 words that left the room completely silent. This child has been living in fear, and from that moment on, everything changed. Melissa Grant stood quietly at the plaintiff's podium wearing an oversized gray sweater and holding a folder so tightly against her chest it looked more like armor than paperwork. Beside her sat her 8-year-old daughter Ava, swinging her feet nervously beneath the chair while trying her absolute hardest not to cry in public. Across the courtroom sat Travis Cole, Melissa's ex-boyfriend. Calm posture, relaxed smile, expensive watch. The kind of man who looked completely comfortable in conflict because he believed he could control how everybody saw him. And honestly, people like Travis are dangerous precisely because they don't look dangerous at first. Judge Judy glanced down at the file. Broken television, cracked bedroom door, destroyed kitchen cabinets. Nearly $4,000 in damages after a violent argument inside Melissa's apartment. Travis immediately sighed loudly before the judge even finished reading. Your Honor, she's making this way more dramatic than it really was. Melissa instantly lowered her eyes toward the floor. That reaction mattered, because people who spend months around controlling personalities slowly train themselves to shrink every time conflict starts. Travis wasn't simply disagreeing with her. He was trying to frame her emotions as irrational before she could even explain the story. Judge Judy noticed it immediately. Interesting, she said calmly. She hasn't spoken yet, and already you're trying to discredit her. The audience reacted quietly. Travis forced a laugh. I'm just telling the truth. But here's where the atmosphere in the courtroom started feeling strange. Every single time Travis interrupted, little Ava physically tensed up beside her mother. Her shoulders lifted, her breathing changed. Once, when Travis raised his voice slightly during an argument about the apartment damage, the child flinched so suddenly the woman sitting behind her actually gasped quietly. Judge Judy stopped turning pages. Slowly, she looked toward the girl. Sweetheart? Ava froze completely for a second. Melissa rubbed her back gently. Her name's Ava. Judge Judy softened her tone immediately. Hi, Ava. Hi, the little girl whispered. Travis suddenly leaned forward too quickly. She really doesn't need to be involved in this. And psychologically, that was important. Innocent people usually want children protected. Manipulative people want children silent before they accidentally expose the truth. Judge Judy looked directly at him. Nobody asked you? Silence. Travis leaned back again, but this time his smile looked tighter. Melissa finally opened her folder. Your Honor, Ava was there the night everything happened. Travis rolled his eyes dramatically. I punched one wall. That's it. Melissa quietly handed photographs to the bailiff. Broken dishes, smashed cabinets, a shattered lamp near Ava's bedroom door, bruises on Melissa's arm. The audience started whispering again. Travis immediately changed tactics. She bruises easily. Another classic manipulation tactic: minimize, reframe, confuse, turn obvious evidence into emotional exaggeration. But then Melissa reached into the folder one more time and pulled out something unexpected. Travis's expression changed instantly, just slightly. But enough. Judge Judy noticed it. What is this? Melissa swallowed hard. It's Ava's tablet. She accidentally recorded the argument while she was playing games in the living room. And then, complete silence. Travis stopped moving altogether. Judge Judy pressed play. At first, there was yelling. Melissa crying, Travis screaming accusations so loudly the courtroom speakers crackled slightly. Then came crashing sounds, furniture breaking, glass shattering. But the sound that changed the room completely came seconds later. A tiny little voice, shaking, terrified. Please stop yelling at Mommy. The courtroom froze. Nobody moved, not even the cameras. Another loud crash echoed through the recording. Then Ava again crying harder now. Please don't break stuff anymore. Judge Judy immediately stopped the recording. Her face changed completely. Not anger, something heavier, the kind of disappointment that feels colder than rage. Travis cleared his throat quickly. It sounds worse than it was. Judge Judy slowly looked up at him. An 8-year-old child begging you to stop terrifying. Her mother sounds exactly how it is. The courtroom suddenly felt different after that. Even the audience looked uncomfortable now. Travis shifted in his seat for the first time since the case started. That confident calmness he walked in with was beginning to crack. Because manipulative people survive by controlling perception, but recordings destroy performance. Melissa wiped tears from her face quietly while Ava stared down at her shoes, still fighting desperately not to cry in front of strangers. And that's when Judge Judy noticed one final detail. Ava's shoelaces were untied. Tiny detail. But children living under constant emotional stress often stop paying attention to small things because their brains stay trapped in survival mode. Judge Judy leaned forward gently.
Sweetheart, were you scared that night?
Ava nodded slowly before finally whispering, I thought he was going to hurt Mommy. And then, silence again. Even Travis looked stunned hearing the words come directly from her mouth. Melissa immediately broke down crying beside her daughter. Travis snapped defensively. I never touched either of them. Judge Judy fired back instantly. You don't need to hit a child to traumatize one. That was the moment the entire courtroom emotionally shifted, because suddenly this wasn't about property damage anymore. It was about fear, about intimidation, about a little girl learning far too young what it feels like to be unsafe inside her own home. Travis muttered quietly, I lost my temper. Judge Judy leaned forward coldly. No, you lost control because you believed fear would give you power. Travis said nothing after that. No interruptions, no smirks, no fake confidence. Just silence. The kind of silence people fall into after realizing the performance is over. Judge Judy reviewed the final repair estimates before delivering judgment. The plaintiff is awarded $3,900 in damages. Travis stared down at the desk. But Judge Judy wasn't finished. She looked toward Ava one final time. Sweetheart, none of this was your fault. And finally, after spending the entire hearing trying to stay strong, Ava broke down, crying completely. Quiet, exhausted tears. The kind children cry when somebody finally makes them feel safe enough to stop pretending they're okay. Melissa hugged her tightly, while even members of the audience wiped tears from their eyes. Judge Judy watched them carefully before turning back toward Travis one last time. The next time a child begs you to stop scaring them, she said coldly, listen the first time. Travis couldn't even look up anymore, because honestly, the most powerful person in that courtroom wasn't the judge. It was the little girl who spent the entire day trying not to cry while telling the truth anyway. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe to Courtroom Evidence for more courtroom documentaries where hidden truths get exposed and justice finally speaks louder than fear.